Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe's deep dive into Hexagram 25. In this episode, we take up close and personal look and really unpack how can we derive meaningful practical value from interpreting this hexagram. If you've cast the coins and this hexagram has come up, let's unpack and work with Hexagram 25 and how you can practically apply it in relation to your question. Now, if you'd like to zoom ahead to a particular part of this episode, please go to the description below where you'll find the time codes. Alternatively, you can have a look on the episode and zoom along on the timeline to where the chapter heading begins that you're looking for. This is especially useful if there's a particular changing line you want to come back to and reference if you receive this hexagram again. Okay, so let's get into this hexagram. The text specs, let's start there. Top trigram is heaven. Heaven, the creative impulse, creative energy, moves vigorously up. Bottom trigram, the inner energy, the inner internal resources, thunder, all right? Also vigorous energy up, okay? And so there's a natural synergy between these two trigrams. But what we have to do, if we think about the top trigram as representing principle and energy and creative impulse, the bottom trigram being action and movement, it is the combination of action and movement following the creative impulse that unlocks the value of this hexagram. And it ties directly to the meaning of this hexagram of we have to be in our creative flow, our childlike state of being open and spontaneous in order to activate the opportunities that might pop into the situation. If we are locked and fixed, we aren't able to get this beautiful synergy of these two trigrams as they work together. So let's get into the hexagram and what it might mean. Now, me as a knitter, as a crafter, I can just picture in my mind that there is nothing more traumatic than you're sitting with your knitting project and it's full of balls of yarn, and along comes a little kitten. And they're seeing this movement of the yarn and the needles, and they're like, wow, this is exciting. You can just picture this little kitten hunting the bag of yarn, and then before you know it, they're in there with those sharp little claws, and they are playing and raveling and working with this yarn and getting into a total frenzy. What can happen is they get into such a frenzy, they get all tied up, They're hooked up in 10, 15 balls of yarn, It's just a mess. Besides the mess that it brings you as the crafter, what might happen is that in the distance of the kitchen, a little saucer of cream is put down for the kitten. And you know what happens is this kitten is so caught up in these balls of yarn, it is not able to run promptly and get that cream. And you know what happens? The older cat that is wiser to this bag of yarn is already in there and that cream is gone. It's a silly example. It's a silly story, but it creates an immediate picture of this dilemma of this kitten. And it creates a story for us too of what do we risk by being too tied up in the yarn. So what does the yarn represent? It represents all the complexity, all the cleverness that we think that we have, all our illusions and our delusions, and all the strings, the threads that we have woven around our thought process, around our heart, around our physical life, that then entraps us when the time is ripe to act. This hexagram says disentangling as one of its alternative names, and it says the way that we take this advice of the I Ching, the way that we work with this question that has given us this hexagram, is that there is risk that the complexity that we have created or that we're involved in, or our convoluted thinking on a topic, is the thing that is going to stop us from acting when the moment is ripe. This hexagram, often called the unexpected pregnancy, and depending on your stance on this, that can be rather unfortunate. But there are times where things come along, opportunities come along, moments of treat, moments of opportunity come along. And if we are caught up in our own thinking, if we are caught up in our own worlds we have created, we are unable to see the opportunity or unable to act. And this kitten lost out on that delicious saucer of milk because it got too caught up in what it was doing. Okay. So when we work with this hexagram and it comes up for a question, what do? We sit down and we look at the situation and the question, and we say, there's a good chance that we become too complicated, too clever. When we get too clever, we come up with all these clever ideas of how to fix a problem, and we can get trussed up in that. So what is the complexity that is holding us back? Where do we have some belief systems that in themselves are the obstacle? Okay. Usually they start with things like, I will never. The only time I will ever consider that is ... And when we have these very emphatic hard lines, putting aside the ideas of principle, right? I'm talking about our own internal belief systems. When we have these hard lines, they become a noose, okay? Not a nice noose, a noose, okay? Right? That ties us up and holds us back from acting, from seeing what is the potential in the moment, the unexpected pregnancy, the opportunity that's just wow, right in front of us. We ask ourselves the question, when can I release myself from the complexity, from the overthinking, from the analysis paralysis, and from all the rules I have created for myself in this situation? What are the rules that I'm defiant on that actually are the problem? Okay. So let us have a look now at our changing lines and unpack what they might mean as we get them and work with them. In the text, the first changing line says, innocent behavior brings good fortune. And so as we start off position 1, okay, this first line, we see how the getting back to this innocent, open, childlike state is a way that we free ourselves up, okay? Despite all the misgivings we have, all the worries and the anxieties and the head trips we might have on the question that's in front of us that we've asked about, okay? What does our heart say, okay? What does the thing, the core of our openness inside, what is it telling us about the situation and what's really true and what's really the path to take? Okay, so we need to perhaps disengage from all the mental paralysis, okay, the thinking, and get back to what's at the heart of the situation. What does our heart feel about this? The second changing line says, if one does not count on the harvest while plowing, nor on the use of the ground while clearing it, it furthers one to undertake something. And so this changing line says that we need to put aside our hope of immediate gain for a longer term picture. You know, when you are plowing and preparing a field, you are not hoping to harvest at the same time. It makes no sense. It's illogical. Just as you can't sow and reap in the same season. Okay, there's a season to sow and a season to reap, and you can't do both in the same season. And so we can really unlock some powerful magic if we stay focused on the preparation that we are needing to do, the preparation of the field, and put aside our hopes and expectations of immediate gain from the thing that we are doing. Okay, we are creating something long-term. Our focus should be on just being true to the work in front of us in preparing without the expectation of immediate return. The third line says, undeserved misfortune, the cow that was tethered by someone, is the wanderer's gain, the citizen's loss. And so with this changing line, someone has passed along and said, that cow's tied up to the fence, I'll have that, and takes off with the cow. All right. So the person who's walked off with the cow has gained, and the person whose cow it was has lost. Okay, so this represents us, you, in this moment, having had a loss. Something has been taken away, an unexpected loss. Remember, this hexagram is the unexpected. So what can we do about that? We certainly can make a choice not to stay in grieving mode, right? This changing line doesn't say, oh, don't worry, the cow will come back. No, the cow's been taken. Something has been removed from you, something that was yours, okay? And that might be your heart, your love, something that or your time that you've contributed to something that now is over, has ended, or has moved on. And so what choice do you have in this moment? A lot of us choose to stay in grieving. A lot of us choose to hang on to the bitterness of what has happened. Perhaps we can look at, could we have looked after our cow better, right? And put the cow into the cow shed and not left her outside, tethered up to the fence, so lackadaisically, right? We can take responsibility for that. But what we can take responsibility for, more importantly, is moving on. So there's something around this changing line where it's been brought to your attention that there's loss. Grieve for a little bit, but the best way that you can honor this process is to move on and get on with it. Okay, and there's an acceptance process here that's critical, the unexpected loss. Okay, can be small, can be big. Accept it and move on. And the text in the fourth position says, he who can be persevering remains without blame. And here we see a little transition from the cow line of the previous one, where we see the saying, if it's truly yours, it will return. No matter whether we throw something away or we put it aside, whatever is truly ours will find us and will remain. We stay persevering, we stay committed to what's really important, the path that's ahead of us, and keep moving forward. So persevering despite the situation is what this changing line is asking us to pay attention to. Plus, in listening to other people, we may not get good advice. So this is all about listening to what's true to you, not heeding the advice of others, and persevere towards what you are trying to do. Not to stop, okay? Not to hold back or to pause, but just put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. Right, changing line in the fifth position. I like this one. It says, use no medicine in an illness incurred through no fault of your own. It will pass of itself. And so this line reminds us that there's something in the situation where a problem that has occurred, okay, is somebody else's stuff. They've either caused it or it's theirs, it's not yours. And what we do is we assume that everything is ours, okay? Maybe that's a self-absorption issue, but we are being told here specifically, the problem, the issue is not yours. You didn't cause it. It's not your karma, for a better word, okay? And so therefore the solution does not lie with you. We may be tempted to medicate, okay? This is a symbolic medication, right? In other words, treating the symptoms, trying to solve the problem. But use no medicine. It's not yours. Just step back and it will pass of its own because it's not yours. Okay, so be aware that the risk with this changing line is that we rush in to solve a problem that's not ours. And we could never bring the best solution to a problem that's not ours to solve. And then the last one, in the sixth position, innocent action brings misfortune. Nothing furthers. And here we have in the sixth position, as we always do, the culmination line, okay? The culmination of the changing lines. And here it says, innocent action will do you no good, okay? It doesn't matter how innocent or open the action is. In this changing line, just hold back and wait, okay? Refrain from the action. This reminds me of that saying, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, okay? And when we have good intentions and openness and we embark upon something, we take action, it's not always the right thing to do either. And so this changing line says, pay attention, ask yourself for your question that you've asked. Where my seemingly innocent action, my openness and pushing forward is actually the issue. What we have to do is just be patient, hold back and be open, not by acting, but by non-acting. So in summary, we are the little kittens who are so tempted in our immaturity to dive into the ball of yarn, okay, to getting tangled up and all tied up in all the complexity. Right? We have to be the wise old cat sitting in the back saying, I'm going to wait for the cream. It's Tuesday, it's cream day, okay, and then rush in and go and grab that saucer of cream that's waiting for us. So we need to disentangle from the complexity of the situation. We need to look at the situation that's in front of us. Based on your question, ask yourself, where is the complexity? Where is the overthinking? Where am I trying to be too clever? And how can I just be more open to what my heart is calling me to what the situation really needs, and be open and be ready and disentangle from that complexity and to be ready to act to get that saucer of milk. I hope that this hexagram deep dive was helpful to you in unpacking and working practically with your question that you have brought to the I Ching. If this was valuable to you, please hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that. And if you'd like more information on the I Ching resources available to you, go to the description below this video and click on the link to find out more. And of course, subscribe to get the monthly and weekly episodes as we go through our lives. We look at every week and every month what we should focus on through the lens of the I Ching. So come and join me for those. It'd be wonderful to have you with me. In the meantime, take care.